occult that is atheism. Why am I calling atheism an occult? Well, if you've been on YouTube recently, you often have a lot of YouTubers like the Atheist Voice who pretty much tell their viewers and their subscribers how they should live and how they should think. For example, the Atheist Voice has about 187,000 subscribers. The majority, I presume, are atheists. And you have people like this guy, the Atheist Voice, who basically say, for example, one of his videos states, atheists should be organ donors. And I watched one of his videos that was pretty much criticizing pro-life atheists, who he said were made up 11% of atheists who were adamantly pro-life, and he was telling them that they were being hypocrites, that the atheists' ideology doesn't allow them to be pro-life, that they were being hypocrites. Okay? And that's the kind of preaching that you would get in a religion. In a religion that tells you that you must act a certain way. And in fact, many atheists believe that you should act in a certain way when dealing with society. And I'm not saying that all atheists agree with one another the same way not all Christians agree with one another. There are different sects of atheism. For example, there's the Richard Dawkins atheist, the militant atheist. They have their own ideology and their own way about going about dealing with society and the religious and morals. Well, and for the most part, according to the Pew Research poll, about 69% of atheists align themselves with being Democrat, and a majority of 56% call themselves politically liberal, for the most part. So, I mean, there you have about a huge majority of atheists aligning with the Democratic Party, which pretty much promote same-sex marriage, abortion. They promote freedom of profane expression and different kind of stuff. And you see the same ideology over there in Great Britain or in England. You know, you see this liberalism taking place in a world where there is no Christianity or where liberalism prevails. So they pretty much agree with one another on about 80% of things, you know, on 80% of their belief. And here's another example. Most atheists are men. About 70% are men. And they're usually young white men who've just graduated or who are so-called highly indoctrinated by a university. So that's just another poll that's showing that a huge majority pertain to a certain group of people in our society. So, I mean, and it's kind of funny because I've listened to YouTubers who say, well, not all atheists are the same. Well, not all Christians are the same either. Okay? And, well, like I've heard one woman say, well, just be like not all atheists are feminist, but I'm a feminist. You know, that's kind of what you get with atheists. They say, well, not all atheists are this, but I'm that. And it's kind of funny because they're fitting this mold of atheists. You know, they're fitting this mold of what atheists should be and what they are. And you have a lot of preachers. I would call the Atheist Voice a preacher. I would call Richard Hitchens a preacher because they have an ideology and they're telling people how they must think and how there are so-called morals that we must all abide by according to their standard. And we don't all subscribe to the same preacher. But it just goes to show that it is a belief system. It's a fraudulent belief system, not based on anything other than their own personal belief in what their purpose in life is. So, I mean, that's just more than enough evidence to show you that most atheists agree on a worldview without God that leads all of them to go to a certain to lean to a certain perspective that they all share and they all have in common. So don't be misled by these other YouTubers who tell you that not all atheists think the same, because when you reject the idea of a God, then then the only logical way, the only logical belief system is to lean towards what the atheists are preaching. It's two sides of a coin. There's the yin and there's the yang, okay? And so when you reject God, then you're going to have to reject a lot of your own morals. You're going to have to reject a lot of what you believe in, because that's the only option. There's two roads, and both roads have multiple branches. But when you reject God, you're led to the other road. Okay? And in fact, most atheists who I've debated share about 90% of the same beliefs, that there are no objective morals to be followed, but there are morals that we must value as a society to be able to cope with one another. And, well, in reality, I mean, that's kind of true, but at the same time, it's really just based on what you define your life to be, and it's based on several other factors, and that's why there's so much crimes, lying. Even lying to a person about something that's important is wrong. Disenfranchising others, talking bad about them, profanely. In the workforce, there's a lot of corrupt employees there who are just trying to save their own necks and putting down others who are more capable in order to save their own necks, which is immoral. And I mean, you live in the real world. I mean, if you're still in college and you're still a kid, then you really don't know how it works out there. But when you start living out there, you'll see that the world isn't so ideal according to your perspective, according to the atheist perspective, as to how things must work. Okay? So you have a blessed day, and you tell me what you think about this video.